Admiral Zexthar stood on the bridge of his massive warship, looking down at the blue and green planet below. His 4 eyes studied the data streams flowing across the holographic displays. Earth looked peaceful from orbit, almost beautiful with its swirling white clouds and vast oceans. He had conquered 47 worlds in his long career, and this would be number 48. "Status report," Zexthar commanded, his voice echoing through the bridge in the clicking language of his people. Commander Vexhai approached, his scaled hide gleaming under the ship's lights. "Admiral, our scouts have completed their final scans. The humans have primitive nuclear weapons, basic aircraft, and crude ground vehicles. Their largest military vessels are water-bound ships that cannot even reach their own planet's orbit." Zexthar nodded with satisfaction. These humans would surrender quickly, just like all the others. The pattern never changed. His fleet would arrive, demonstrate their superior power, and the planet's leaders would beg for mercy within hours. Then would come the standard terms: surrender all weapons, accept galactic dominion rule, and provide tribute in the form of resources and workers. "How many ships do we need for this operation?" Zexthar asked. 3 battlecruisers should be more than enough, Admiral. Our intelligence shows they have never encountered technology beyond their solar system. They will see our ships and understand immediately that resistance is hopeless. On the planet's surface, Captain Jake Miller was having his morning coffee at Peterson Air Force Base when the alarms began screaming. He dropped his cup and ran to the command center, where dozens of personnel were staring at radar screens with expressions of shock and fear. "What's the situation?" Jake demanded. Technical Sergeant Amy Davis turned from her console, her face pale.
"Sir, we have multiple contacts dropping out of what appears to be hyperspace. 3 objects, each approximately 2 miles long, now in high orbit." Jake felt his stomach drop. This was not a drill, not a test, not a mistake. These were the aliens
that governments around the world had quietly prepared for, but never really expected to encounter. "Get me a line to NORAD, the Pentagon, and every major world leader," Jake ordered. "And find Dr. Sam Parker. We're going to need our xenobiology expert." 20 minutes later, Dr. Parker burst into the command center, still wearing his lab coat. He was a thin man with graying hair who had spent his entire career studying the possibility of alien life. Now that possibility had become reality. "They're not responding to any of our communication attempts," Amy reported. "We've tried radio, light signals, and mathematical sequences. Nothing." Then the screens around the room flickered and went black. When they came back online, they showed the face of Admiral Zexthar. His alien features were strange but clearly intelligent. When he spoke, somehow they could understand his words. "People of Earth," Zexthar began, his voice calm and formal. "I am Admiral Zexthar of the Galactic Dominion 3rd Fleet. Your world has been selected for integration into our civilization. You will surrender all military forces immediately and prepare to accept our authority." Dr. Parker leaned forward, studying the alien's features. "Fascinating," he whispered. "Look at the eye placement, the bone structure. This is a prey species that evolved intelligence." Jake shot him a sharp look, but the doctor continued. "Admiral, their body language, their approach, they're used to others backing down without a fight." On the screen, Zexthar continued his demands. "You have 1 of your hours to respond with complete surrender. Any resistance will be met with appropriate force. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our vessels. Submit now, and your people will be treated well under Dominion rule." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in silence. "Sir," Amy said quietly, "I'm receiving reports from bases worldwide. Every major military installation just received the same message." Jake walked to the window and looked up at the sky, where 3 dark shapes hung like death itself against the blue. Any reasonable person would surrender. The aliens were right. Humanity's weapons were primitive compared to ships that could travel between stars. But Jake Miller was not feeling particularly reasonable. "Amy, send a message to all unit commanders. Tell them we need time to discuss the terms." "What are you really planning, Captain?" Dr. Parker asked. Jake smiled grimly. "Doctor, how long would it take you to analyze whatever technology we can get our hands on? If I had access to their communications array, maybe their ship's sensors, I could learn a lot very quickly. But sir, they said 1 hour. Then we better make it count. Amy, get me every military leader you can reach, and patch me through to Major Rick Stone in Colorado, Commander Lisa Wong at Pearl Harbor, and anyone else who might want to make these visitors regret coming here. Amy stared at him. Sir, are you suggesting we fight them? I'm suggesting we show them something they've apparently never seen before. Jake turned back to the window. They think we'll roll over like everyone else. Time to prove them wrong. As messages flew across the globe, military bases buzzed with activity. Weapons were moved, defenses prepared, and engineers like Tony Cruz began studying every piece of electromagnetic data they could gather from the alien ships. Above Earth, Admiral Zexthar waited confidently for the inevitable surrender message. He had no idea that the humans below were doing something no other species in galactic history had ever done, preparing to fight back against impossible odds. The hour passed without a surrender message. Admiral Zexthar felt a small flicker of confusion as he stared at the communication console. In 47 previous conquests, the surrender had always come within the first hour. Sometimes within minutes. Perhaps their primitive communication systems are malfunctioning, Commander Vexhai suggested. Should we give them more time? No, Zexthar decided. Begin the demonstration. Target their largest city centers with low-power strikes. Once they see our capabilities, they will submit. The alien ships descended through Earth's atmosphere, their massive hulls casting shadows over major cities. Energy beams lanced down from the vessels, striking military bases and government buildings. The weapons were set to minimal power, just enough to destroy structures and terrify the population into surrender. But something went wrong with the plan immediately. Instead of panicking crowds fleeing in terror, the aliens saw organized evacuations. Instead of governments begging for mercy, they detected massive military mobilization. Communication channels buzzed with tactical orders rather than surrender pleas. Major Rick Stone crouched in a camouflaged bunker high in the Colorado mountains, watching alien fighters sweep through the valleys below. His radio crackled with reports from units across the region. Stone here, he spoke into his headset. All mountain units, begin harassment protocol, hit and fade tactics only. Make them work for every mile. Below him, teams of soldiers armed with portable missile launchers began engaging the alien patrol craft. The missiles were primitive compared to alien technology, but there were many of them, and they came from unexpected directions. Commander Lisa Wong stood on the bridge of the submarine USS Denver, 200 feet below the Pacific surface. The alien ships had ignored Earth's oceans, assuming that waterbound vessels posed no threat. They were about to learn otherwise. Target the lowest flying ship, Lisa ordered. All tubes ready. Fire when you have a solution. Torpedoes burst from the submarine, modified with nuclear warheads and programmed to detonate near the alien vessel's hull. The explosion lit up the ocean surface and sent the alien ship spinning toward the waves. At a hidden research facility in Nevada, engineer Tony Cruz worked frantically over pieces of debris from the first alien ship to crash. His team had barely 6 hours to understand technology that was centuries ahead of human science. The energy patterns are similar to our plasma research, Tony called out to his assistants. If we can reverse the polarity on their shield generators, we might be able to disrupt their defensive systems. Dr. Kate Allen stood in a command bunker beneath Washington, D.C., surrounded by screens showing the battle raging worldwide. As a psychiatrist, she had been brought in to analyze alien behavior patterns and develop countermeasures. They're not adapting, she reported to the Joint Chiefs. Look at their attack patterns. They keep using the same approaches, expecting us to break. They have no experience fighting an enemy that refuses to quit. Above the atmosphere, Admiral Zexthar watched, his tactical displays with growing alarm. What should have been a 3-hour conquest was entering its second day. Worse, his forces were actually taking losses. How is this possible? He demanded. These creatures use chemical propulsion and metal projectiles. Their technology is thousands of years behind ours. Commander Vexhai studied the battle reports, his scaled face showing confusion. Admiral, they are not fighting like any species we have encountered. When we destroy their command centers, new leaders appear immediately. When we eliminate their heavy weapons, they attack with lighter ones. When we corner their forces, they split into smaller groups and attack from multiple directions. Are they insane? Zexthar asked. On Earth, Pilot Officer Ben Clark flew his damaged F-16 toward the largest alien ship hovering over Los Angeles. His engines were failing, his weapons were empty, and his ejection seat was damaged. Any rational pilot would try to find somewhere safe to crash land. Ben was not feeling rational. "This is Eagle 7, he radioed to base. "I'm going to ram the big one. Tell my dad I got the bastards." He pushed his throttle forward and aimed directly at what appeared to be the alien ship's bridge. The collision tore through the vessel's hull, causing massive explosions that sent the ship tumbling toward the ocean. Colonel Dan Foster coordinated the global resistance from a mobile command center that moved every few hours to avoid alien targeting. Representatives from every nation worked together in ways that had never happened before in human history. "The Chinese have developed an effective jamming technique," Foster reported during a video conference with world leaders. "The Russians are sharing their anti-aircraft technology with NATO forces. The Indians have created a new missile guidance system that can track alien fighters." Dr. Ryan Bell led a team of scientists in an underground laboratory in Switzerland, where they were combining captured alien technology with human engineering. The results were crude, but effective. "We have successfully created hybrid weapons," Bell announced. "Our manufacturing capabilities combined with their energy systems. Production begins immediately." Sergeant Maria Santos became a legend among both human and alien forces during the siege of New York. She seemed to appear wherever the fighting was heaviest, carrying weapons scavenged from both sides and striking at enemy weak points before vanishing into the urban landscape. The aliens began calling her the Ghost in their own language. Some refused to patrol areas where she had been spotted. After a full week of combat, Admiral Zexthar finally understood the terrible truth. These humans were not going to surrender. Ever. They would fight until every last one of them was dead, and they would take as many aliens with them as possible. For the first time in his military career, Zexthar considered the possibility of retreat. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened on the neutral world of Kelthera Prime. Representatives from over 200 species gathered in the Great Chamber, their various forms filling seats designed to accommodate the galaxy's diverse biology. The mood in the room was tense and confused. Council leader Mordan, a tall being with silver skin and 3 arms, called for order. His voice carried the authority of 10,000 years of galactic peace. "We have received Admiral Zexthar's latest report from the human world," Mordan announced. "The situation has become unprecedented." Ambassador Clixtor of the Unified Worlds rose from his seat. His species resembled large birds with blue feathers and intelligent golden eyes. "Council leader, explain to us how a pre-spaceflight civilization is holding off our Third Fleet. This defies all known patterns of conquest." Morden activated the holographic display at the center of the chamber. Images from the battle over Earth filled the air. Ships burning in space, cities under siege but still fighting, humans attacking with weapons that should have been useless against alien technology. "The humans have been fighting for 12 days, Mordan explained. "Zexthar has lost 40% of his fleet. His ground forces report casualty rates higher than any campaign in recorded history." A ripple of shock passed through the assembled delegates. The Korthani ambassador, whose species looked like walking crystals, spoke up. "This is impossible. No species fights once they understand they cannot win. It violates basic survival instincts." On Earth, Colonel Dan Foster stood in his latest command bunker, buried deep beneath the ruins of what had once been Denver. The alien bombardment had leveled most major cities, but the human resistance had only grown stronger. Representatives of every nation on Earth worked side by side in conditions that would have been unthinkable before the invasion. "Status report," Foster demanded as he entered the communications center. "China reports successful defense of Beijing using captured alien shield technology," reported Captain Sue Brown, his intelligence officer. "The Russian forces have developed new tactics that are causing significant alien casualties in Siberia." African nations are coordinating a continent-wide guerrilla campaign. Dr. Ryan Bell approached Foster with a data pad. His clothes were dirty and his eyes showed the strain of working around the clock for nearly 2 weeks. Colonel, we have successfully reverse-engineered their communication systems. We can now intercept all alien transmissions. Good work. What are they saying? Bell smiled grimly. They are terrified of us. Meanwhile, Dr. Helen Fox worked in a medical facility that had been carved out of caves in the Appalachian Mountains. She studied tissue samples from captured alien soldiers and compared them to human physiology. Her findings were disturbing. Their bone density is 60% less than ours, she explained to her research team. Their muscle structure suggests they evolved from herbivorous creatures. Most importantly, their brain chemistry shows no capacity for sustained aggression. What does that mean? Asked Dr. Nancy Green, her chief assistant. It means they literally cannot understand why we keep fighting. To them, continued resistance after demonstrating superior force is a form of mental illness. Back in space, Admiral Zexthar received his latest casualty reports with growing horror. 3 more ships had been destroyed overnight by human submarines using modified nuclear weapons. Ground forces reported that human fighters were becoming more effective, not less, as the battle continued. Admiral, Commander Vexhai said quietly, I must report something disturbing. Our intercepted communications suggest the humans are enjoying this. Enjoying what? The combat, sir. They refer to killing our soldiers as payback and making the invaders pay. Some of their warriors actually celebrate when they destroy our equipment. Zexthar felt something he had never experienced before in his military career. Genuine fear. On the Galactic Council floor, the debate continued. Ambassador Telquar of the Peaceful Worlds, whose species resembled large mammals with gentle faces, expressed the growing concern of many delegates. Perhaps we should withdraw from this world, Telquar suggested. If the humans are diseased with some form of madness that makes them unable to surrender, we risk contaminating our own forces. Withdrawal is not an option, declared War Master Hexval of the Dominion military. His species were the closest thing to warriors in galactic civilization, though they looked more like armored insects than soldiers. If we retreat from one primitive world, it will encourage resistance throughout the galaxy. Council Leader Mordan studied the battle reports with growing unease. There is something else. Our xenobiologists have analyzed human specimens. They believe these creatures evolved as apex predators on their world. Silence fell over the chamber. The concept of a predator species achieving spacefaring intelligence was theoretical nightmare that had haunted galactic civilization for millennia. Ambassador, Clixtor's feathers rustled with fear. That is impossible. Predator species destroy themselves before achieving advanced technology. It is a fundamental law of evolution. Apparently not, Morden replied. On Earth, Commander Kevin White led a team of engineers in reconstructing alien technology inside a hidden facility in the Australian outback. They had been working for 10 days straight, combining human manufacturing techniques with alien energy systems. We have successfully created our first hybrid spacecraft, White announced to his team. It is crude compared to their ships, but it can reach orbit and carry weapons. Captain Steve Parker, a former test pilot, examined the strange vessel. It looked like someone had welded a human fighter jet to pieces of alien technology, but the energy readings were impressive. When do we take the fight to them? Parker asked. Tomorrow, White replied. We launch everything we have built. Time to show these aliens that humans do not just defend their home. They hunt. In the Galactic Council chamber, a new transmission arrived from Admiral Zexthar. His image appeared above the assembly, and every delegate could see the fear in his alien features. Council members, Zexthar began, I formally request immediate reinforcement with the entire 4th and 5th fleets. The humans have begun attacking our ships with vessels of their own construction. Repeat, they have achieved spaceflight capability in less than 2 weeks. The chamber erupted in shocked voices from dozens of species. Council Leader Mordan called for order, but the fear was spreading. These humans were not just refusing to surrender. They were learning, adapting, and preparing to take the war beyond their own world. Agent Carol Wright sat across from the captured alien pilot in an underground facility, beneath the ruins of Chicago. The creature looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird, with scales that changed color based on its emotions. Right now, those scales showed deep purple patterns that their translators identified as fear and confusion. "Tell me about your home world," Carol said calmly. She had been interrogating prisoners for 15 years, but this was her first alien. The pilot, who called himself Jexmar, tilted his head in a way that reminded Carol of a confused dog. "Why do you wish to know about Kelthara 7? You cannot reach it with your primitive ships." Professor Jim Adams, the linguist working with Carol, leaned forward. "Actually, we are curious about something else. In all your wars of conquest, has any species ever fought back like we have?" Jexmar's scales shifted to a sickly yellow color. "Fought back? There are no wars of conquest. Species see our ships and surrender immediately. It is the natural response to superior force." Carol and Jim exchanged glances. "What do you mean, natural response?" "All intelligent species understand when they are defeated," Jexmar explained, his voice showing genuine confusion. "To continue fighting when victory is impossible is a sign of mental damage. Why do humans not understand this?" Professor Adams made notes on his tablet. "Jexmar, what happens to species that do not surrender? There are no such species. Even the most aggressive races in the galaxy submit when faced with overwhelming power. It is basic survival instinct." Carol felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying we are the first species to fight back against the Galactic Dominion?" "You are the first species to fight back against anyone," Jexmar replied. His scales turned bright orange, which the translator indicated was extreme distress. "The Council has sent researchers to study your mental condition. They believe humans suffer from a galaxy-wide plague of insanity." Meanwhile, in a research facility carved into the Swiss Alps, Dr. Helen Fox studied the medical data they had gathered from alien prisoners. Her team of doctors and scientists worked around the clock to understand the biological differences between humans and galactic species. "The results are consistent across all captured specimens," Helen reported to her team. "Every alien species we have examined evolved from prey animals. Their brain structure shows enlarged fear centers and reduced aggression responses." Commander Nick Hayes, the military liaison to the research team, studied the data with growing amazement. "Doctor, are you saying that every intelligent species in the galaxy evolved from animals that survived by running away or hiding?" "That appears to be correct," Helen confirmed. "Their bone density, muscle structure, and neurological patterns all support this conclusion. They are biologically incapable of sustained aggressive behavior." "What about humans?" Helen pulled up a comparative brain scan on her computer screen. "Humans evolved from persistence hunters. We chased prey animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. Our brain chemistry is designed for long-term aggressive behavior and problem-solving under stress." The implications were staggering. Nick spoke quietly. "We are not just different from them. We are their worst nightmare made real." In a communication center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Communications Officer Alex Price intercepted an alien transmission that changed everything. He had been monitoring enemy channels for 3 weeks, but this message was different. It was not directed at Earth but toward the Galactic Council. Alex ran to Colonel Foster with the translated message. "Sir, you need to read this immediately." Foster took the printout and felt his blood turn cold as he read Admiral Zexthar's latest report to the Council. "Emergency protocol required. Human resistance has entered 4th week. They show no signs of surrender despite massive casualties. Worse, they have begun modifying our technology and producing hybrid weapons. Intelligence suggests they are preparing offensive operations beyond their solar system. Recommend immediate quarantine of entire human sector. These creatures are not merely refusing to surrender, they are planning to hunt us." Foster set down the report and looked at Alex. "How long ago was this sent?" 6 hours, sir. There is more." I intercepted the Council's response. Alex handed him a second sheet of paper. This one was even more disturbing. Admiral Zexthar, Galactic. Council authorizes immediate withdrawal from human space. New classification. Humanity designated as Class Alpha Predator species. All contact forbidden. Establish quarantine zone extending 50 light-years from human solar system. Under no circumstances are humans to be provided with faster-than-light technology. Foster stared at the message for a long moment. Alex, do the aliens realize we have already reverse-engineered their faster-than-light drives? I do not think so, sir. Our hybrid ships have not been detected yet. At that moment, Captain Steve Parker was preparing for humanity's first faster-than-light mission. The hybrid spacecraft looked like something built in a garage by people who only half understood the technology they were using. Which was basically true. Engineer Kevin White performed final checks on the strange vessel. Steve, I cannot guarantee this thing will not explode the moment you engage the drive system. Only one way to find out, Steve replied, climbing into the pilot seat. Besides, if we are going to be the galaxy's nightmare, we might as well start acting like it. The ship launched from a hidden facility in Nevada, accelerating rapidly beyond Earth's atmosphere. Within minutes, Steve activated the alien drive system. Reality twisted around him as the ship entered faster-than-light travel. He was heading toward the nearest alien outpost, carrying a message that would soon spread terror throughout galactic civilization. Humans were no longer trapped on Earth. Back. In the interrogation room, Agent Carol Wright asked Jexmar one final question. What do your people call species like us? Predator species that achieved intelligence? The alien's scales turned completely black, a color their translators could not identify. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. We call them the Devourers, the ancient enemy that our ancestors feared would someday come from the dark spaces between stars. But they were just stories, myths to frighten children. Carol smiled grimly. Not anymore. The Galactic Council chamber had never seen such chaos. Representatives from across the galaxy screamed at each other in dozens of languages, while emergency alarms blared throughout the station. Council leader Mordan pounded his gavel repeatedly, trying to restore order. The human ship appeared without warning at Outpost Kepler 7. War Master Hexval reported, his insect-like voice filled with disbelief. They did not attack. They simply transmitted a message and left. What was the message? Ambassador Clickstor demanded, his blue feathers ruffled with fear. Mordan activated the holographic display. The image of Captain Steve Parker appeared. In the center of the chamber. His human face was calm but determined as he spoke. To the Galactic Council and all member species, Earth has received your message about quarantine zones and forbidden contact. We reject your authority over humanity. You came to our world as conquerors. Now we are coming to yours. Not as destroyers, but as the new reality you must accept. The age of easy surrender is over. The chamber fell silent. The implications were clear and terrifying. Humans had faster-than-light travel and the will to use it. On Earth, General Pete Clark stood in the rebuilt command center in Washington, D.C. The city had been destroyed twice during the war, but humans kept rebuilding it. President Linda Gray and Prime Minister Paul Smith joined him via secure video link. Our scout ships report 23 alien worlds within 50 light-years of Earth, Pete announced. All of them are lightly defended. Their military doctrine assumes no one will ever attack them. President Gray nodded grimly. What are you recommending, General? We establish colonies on uninhabited worlds first. Show them we can go anywhere we want. Then we open diplomatic relations from a position of strength. Prime Minister Smith looked troubled. Are we becoming the very thing we fought against? Invaders and conquerors? No, Pete replied firmly. We are becoming something they have never seen before. A species that fights back and wins. Admiral Zexthar sat alone on the bridge of his remaining ship, staring at the stars through the viewport. His once mighty fleet had been reduced to a single vessel. The human world grew smaller behind him as his ship limped toward friendly space. His communication officer approached nervously. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the human leadership. Put it through, Zexthar said wearily. The image of Colonel Dan Foster appeared on the screen. The human looked tired, but victorious. Admiral Zexithar, this is Colonel Foster of the Earth Defense Force. We know you are retreating to your home territory. Zexithar straightened in his command chair. Have you contacted me to gloat over your victory, human? No, Foster replied. I am contacting you to deliver a message. You will tell your Galactic Council that humanity is not interested in conquest. We are interested in being left alone. But if anyone attacks Earth again, we will not stop at defending our world. We will hunt down every ship, every base, and every world that supported the attack. The transmission ended, leaving Zexithar staring at a blank screen. For the first time in his life, he truly understood what terror felt like. Commander Sue Brown led the first human colony ship toward a world the aliens called Kepler 442b. The planet was uninhabited, but had breathable air and water. Behind her flew a small fleet of hybrid ships carrying 10,000 volunteers. Establishing orbital approach, reported her pilot, Lieutenant Mark Thompson. No alien presence detected. Dr. Nancy Green, the chief scientist for the colony mission, studied her instruments. Perfect atmospheric conditions. This world will support human life without modification. As the colony ships landed, they planted a flag that would soon become famous throughout the galaxy. The Earth flag with 13 stars added to represent humanity's first interstellar colonies. Meanwhile, Captain Carol Hayes commanded a diplomatic mission to the nearest alien world. Her ship carried no weapons, but the aliens knew what humans were capable of now. This is Captain Hayes of the Earth Diplomatic Corps, she transmitted to the planet below. We request permission to establish an embassy and open trade relations. The response came quickly, transmitted in perfect English that the aliens had apparently learned very fast. Permission granted. Please, please do not attack our world. Carol felt sad at the fear in their voices, but she understood it. We have no intention of attacking anyone who does not attack us first. Humanity seeks peace, but we will defend ourselves. On the research world of Kepler 438b, engineer Tony Cruz supervised the construction of humanity's first interstellar manufacturing facility. They were building ships, weapons, and technology that combined the best of human and alien science. Production is ahead of schedule, Tony reported to Earth. We will have 50 new ships completed within 6 months. Dr. Ryan Bell worked nearby, leading a team that was improving on alien technology at a rate that shocked even the humans themselves. We have successfully created shield systems that are more efficient than anything in the alien database, he announced. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the debate had turned to desperate planning. Ambassador Telquar of the Peaceful Worlds spoke with a trembling voice. We must accept that everything has changed. For the first time in galactic history, we face a species that will fight rather than surrender. Council leader Morden nodded gravely. The question now is how we coexist with these humans without provoking them further. War Master Hexval, who had spent his entire career planning conquests, now faced a new reality. Our military doctrine is useless against an enemy that refuses to surrender and adapts to our technology. We must completely rethink our approach to interstellar relations. In his private chambers, Admiral Zexithar composed his final report to the Galactic Council. His words would be studied by historians for generations. We came to Earth expecting to find another weak species to add to our empire. Instead, we discovered that we have been living in a galaxy of cowards, protected only by the fact that we had never encountered a true predator species. The humans are what our ancestors warned us about in the old stories. They are the hunters that hunt the hunters. We attacked their world and taught them that they are not alone in the universe. We have awakened something that should have remained, sleeping forever. May the galaxy forgive us for what we have unleashed upon the stars. Humanity had taken its first steps into the greater galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same again.